Welcome, Soul Seeker, to the Psychology of Prosperity podcast, where we learn how to create true wealth by diving deep into knowing ourselves. My name is Monica Maria, spiritual healer and mentor, here to help you get clear, see the big vision for your life, and cultivate the courage and faith to fully trust yourself. This podcast is all about expanding our consciousness, strategically using our intuition, and owning our power as leaders. Get ready to have some fun and maybe cry a little as you listen to inspiring stories, practical wisdom, and resources to help you design a life and mission that satisfies your soul. One of the biggest issues I see with very smart people, with my clients, with myself included, is that at some point we end up doubting ourselves. You know, it happens to the best of us. And why is it? Why do very smart people who are even great leaders, still doubt themselves? It really boils down to a lack of self-trust and a disconnection from the source of our power. And what is that, you ask? It's the ability to hold the belief in who you are and that you actually do know what to do when it comes to that thing you want to achieve. Put it this way, have you ever gotten so hyped about something? You amp yourself up, you are ready to go and do the thing, and then you let some time pass and you start to doubt. You start to wonder, can I really pull this off? Do I have what it takes? And this is when you need to get grounded in the mechanics of desire and what is beyond your desire. There is a saying that I love, and it goes, everything is created twice, first within, internally in the mind as a thought form, and then externally without, when it materializes. The desire that you have would not be there if the possibility for it to be so did not exist. In fact, what you want already exists on another plane. And before you can see it, you have to believe it. Again, the desire would not be there if the possibility for it happening didn't already exist. And this is when our ability to hold that belief determines if that thing is actually going to materialize. When we look at what does it mean to hold the belief? This is a matter of faith, and this is why mindset is definitely very important, right? The way that you think, the perceptions that you have of anything. But faith is something much more elevated. To me, this is a higher consciousness, a higher awareness. And the fact is that sometimes when we are meant to experience something, when we desire a particular experience, we get the polar opposite of what we desire. But this is actually so helpful because it is what helps us get clear and to know with certainty, is this what I really want? Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. This weekend, I sang in ceremony. I've been singing for over a year now, but this time was a little different because it was going to be 7 songs in a row. And I just want to also say that I was literally flying from the second dose of medicine. Now, the medicine I'm speaking about is ayahuasca, or as it is known here in Colombia, yahe. And so I was sitting next to the musicians with my sister, the second half of our musical group called Guakindi, which means hummingbird woman. And I am like in the epitome of the rascachuma, which is what we call being fully in the process of the medicine, just feeling the effects of it, feeling so much energy pulse through my body. And my music teacher calls us over and she's like, all right, let's perform. And basically, this is a mini concert. And we had just been practicing it the night before, as we do on most Friday evenings. But this time we would sing the 7 songs in a row. Usually we sing 2 or 3. And there were about 100 people in the ceremony house. And I just remember not feeling fully focused because I'm feeling the effects of the medicine, and I ended up swallowing a word here and there and replacing the lyrics to a song here and there. And I even went out of pitch on one of the songs. Granted, we sang some wonderful songs, but all I could think of were the mistakes. I felt straight up shame. When we were done, I legit went into hiding in a bush for about an hour. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because shame is a part of being human. And it can feel even more intense and even just bigger when you're being witnessed, when you're being observed, or when you think people are noticing. And if you think back, when have there been times in your life where maybe you just felt like all eyes were on you? Like, oh my gosh, I tripped, I fell, and people saw. That was the experience that I had. And maybe there's a lack of concentration, maybe there's some anxiety, maybe there's some doubt. And these were all things that I was experiencing. So this doubt is exactly what caused the shame. It could be regret at certain parts of your life experience that has you feel shame. And this is the part of the process of evolution. It's part of the process of being human. So hours later, still in the ceremony house, a woman who was there also in ceremony came up to me, and she just said, wow, I could tell the hours that you have spent in practicing. Like, I can really tell all of the hard work that you have put into singing. What a gift. And I just smiled at her and I said, thank you so much. That means so much to me. I so appreciate it. And, this goes back to what I was saying in last week's episode about perception and how things really begin to shift when you start to see things differently. And this does require a higher awareness. And so taking your life experiences as lessons on your way to wisdom, on your way to self-realization is part of this process of understanding, where did my doubt come from? Why was I doubting? Where did my lack of concentration come from? When did I start to feel nervous or anxious? And it's almost always because we're so hyper-focused on not getting it wrong, not doing it wrong, on thinking that maybe we don't have what it takes, that we must be not doing it right, that we could have been doing it better, we could have done it better. And what we have to understand is that all of these emotions, all of these states of being in the human process are actually there for us to become aware and to be able to shift our awareness. And again, this is really about being able to hold the belief, to hold the vision, because it's pretty easy to just say, I want this, I want to experience this, and then dropping the belief and the desire. There's a book, it's a wealth consciousness classic book that I'm sure you've heard of. If you haven't, I highly recommend that you pick up a copy and you read it. I'm actually reading it again. I pulled it off my bookshelf, and one of my mentors who is now passed, Bob Proctor, used to carry a copy of this book in his pocket. A mentor of his gave it to him when he was in his 20s. He was 84, I think, at the time that I saw him speak in person. And he pulled the book out of his pocket on stage, and it was held together with like rubber bands. The cover was detached and all these loose pages. But this is the power of the book. So if you have not read it, I highly recommend it. I've read it about 4 times, and I'm about to read it for a 5th time now. The book was written by Napoleon Hill in like 1930 something, I believe. And it was Andrew Carnegie who commissioned Napoleon Hill to write the book after interviewing hundreds of very successful, wealthy men. And the premise of the book begins with an understanding that riches begin with one thing: the burning desire for the riches. The burning desire really for anything that you're wanting to have in your life. So I want you to think about something that you're working on right now, something that you truly desire to have in your life. And I want to give you these 3 tips so that you're able to hold the belief of the vision of that thing that you desire. And that first thing is to stop asking for opinions and advice, especially from people that do not have the thing that you want, that have never been in that experience, that absolutely do not know anything about it. We can get so caught up in making sure that we're making the right choice that sometimes we forego that initial inspiration, the motivation, the thing that actually had us even conceive of the idea, right? So stop asking for opinions and advice. The second thing is you want to keep the dream, that you want to keep the desire private until it's materialized to a certain point. This one is so crucial and important because think of the excitement, think of the motivation, think of that energy that starts to just run and course through your body, and you know it because you feel it, right? That's that amped up, hyped up feeling. It starts to dissipate when you start speaking about it, when the idea is still in a conception period. It's so important to really harness the energy and allow yourself to build on it instead of leaking the energy out by speaking about it prematurely, because this is when you can also open yourself up to receiving unsolicited advice. Okay, so you want to keep the dream private until it has materialized to a certain point. And the third one, this one, hear me out. This is so important. Don't trade down for something that feels doable, aka settling. You do not want to trade down. If you start to see that as you're in the process of creation, as you're in the process of manifesting, materializing that desire, that it's perhaps taking a bit longer, that maybe it is being met with challenges, maybe you are letting doubt creep in, that you say to yourself, well, you know what? Maybe I can just do a lesser version of that plan. Maybe I can switch up the project, make it easier, make it happen faster, right? You do not trade down for something that feels doable. You know that you're trading down because you start to feel like, okay, I can get this much done. And this is why I'm also not a believer in having a plan B, right? You just want to be so committed to, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to create, and stick with it. Okay, so this is what I'm leaving you with today is do not allow doubt to creep into your desire, because it will really get in the way of you not only trusting yourself, trusting your ability in being able to create that for yourself, because it will also cause you to maybe even give up. And we are not going to give up. If you enjoyed what you heard, please be sure to hit like and the subscribe button so others like you can see and access this podcast. I invite you to comment and let me know, how has this landed on you? Your feedback will help me create content that resonates and supports you on your journey.